Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good? Good. It's difficult to be here on Sunday at 3 p.m. You guys must really love tech. I think being in Vegas makes it even more difficult. Who doesn't want to go out and create memories of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? All right. Before we dive into the topic, I'll start with a brief introduction. I'm Reena Jain. I started my career as a chemical engineer. After graduating as a chemical engineer, I joined Schlumberger as an oil field engineer, where I performed well stimulation operations for dormant wells to revive them. During my span there, I revived 100+ dormant wells. Post that, I moved to Universal Aquatech, which is my family business manufacturing aquaculture feed supplements. I transitioned to the role of VP of Operations and Business Development there, where I launched a portfolio of products, and these products were aquaculture feed supplement products. Post that, I pivoted to tech, where I joined as a VP of Product at an edtech startup headquartered in India and performing global operations today. Now, this was amidst the pandemic, so my task as VP of Product was to perform a digital transformation of their 15 brick-and-mortar establishments. Post that, I took a bold move and moved to USA to do my MBA from Chicago booth. During my time at MBA, I interned at Amazon as a product manager. And post that, I joined McKinsey Company as a full-time associate for where I perform operations and tech consulting for global clients. Now let's start with the keynote speech, which is on empowering smart cities, the convergence of Internet of Things and cyber-physical systems. Today, we will cover basics: what is IoT, what is CPS, that is cyber-physical systems, and smart city. Then we will cover case studies on how Singapore and Barcelona, two smart cities, utilize this integration. Third, we will talk about future use cases. And finally, and most importantly, end with challenges, risk, and mitigation. What is IoT? IoT is a network of interconnected devices that collect and exchange information via internet, and hence the name Internet of Things. What is cyber-physical systems, also called as CPS? Throughout the presentation, I would be referring to it as CPS. These are integrations of computation, networking, and physical processes. A great example of this is autonomous robots used in manufacturing. Yesterday, in my panel talk, I spoke briefly about this, and Richard gave the example of how these are being used by a automobile manufacturer for welding purposes. Third, and most importantly, smart cities. What are smart cities? Smart city is urban areas using sensors or electronic methods to collect data for efficient management. Few examples: Singapore, Barcelona, Dubai, Amsterdam. Now, talking about Singapore. How has Singapore leveraged this integration of IoT and CPS? It has leveraged it in 5 key areas, starting with transportation. What did Singapore do? Singapore set up these IoT devices and sensors along the roads which sense traffic. They communicate this data to the CPS, which then handles the traffic signal. So if at all, think of it like, how often do we come across the situation where we are returning home from a late night flight at 2 a.m. and we still stop at a red light? The streets are empty, but it's a red light. You still stop because it's on a fixed timer. If this is implemented, you won't have to do that anymore. That would be amazing. So Singapore has implemented this. This helps in managing traffic. They reroute their traffic, and it helps prevent congestions. Second point, Singapore has applied this to smart utilities and energy management. They have set up IoT monitors which collects data in real time about the usage of electricity. It communicates this data to CPS. CPS understands what are the low peak times and the high peak times. When there is a low peak time, they store the energy produced by renewables such as solar or wind and release it during the high peak times. So this helps in reducing wastage of electricity and better resource management, of course. The third key area is environmental monitoring. IoT collects environmental data and transmits this to CPS. A nice use case of this is, think of an area in Singapore which is experiencing high air pollution because of some industrial activity going on there. What are the things that are possible with this integration? One, when the authorities know that the air quality at the current time is bad, there's a lot of air pollution, the following things can be done. Health advisory messages can be sent out to all the residents of the area, firstly. Second, it can be recommended that they use face masks. Third, if needed, the industry which is causing this can be temporarily shut down so they can identify the source of higher air pollution. Fourth, they can notify hospitals to expect and be ready for a higher influx of patients with respiratory diseases. Fifth, in case of things heading out of hand, they can always contact the emergency services. All this is done because of integration of IoT with CPS. The fourth key area is public safety and security. IoT enhances security with surveillance cameras and sensors. CPS identifies potential threats or emergencies. For example, if in a public area there is an unattended bag, this is caught by the surveillance cameras, and the authorities on 911 or cops are notified, and the appropriate action is taken. Fifth, healthcare for aged population. IoT collects health data from individuals, and CPS monitors these health trends and dangerous conditions, facilitating timely medical interventions. For example, a great use case of this is, think of an old man, 90-year-old man who's staying alone at his place. We hear so often of old people, sleeping in bathtubs, and there is no action taken until a few hours because they stay alone. They don't have any support to help them out in such a situation. The wearable on their arm or a home sensor can notify their immediate family and seek medical intervention immediately. Isn't that amazing? So now we've covered what all Singapore does and how it leverages IoT and CPS. Let's talk about Barcelona. Barcelona, in addition to most of these things, does 3 of these. First, Barcelona has implemented a smart lighting. Smart lighting is along the streets, all the lights are smart lights, which adjust their brightness based on the time of the day, based on the presence of a pedestrian. If there is no pedestrian, it will be off, and based on the presence of traffic or vehicle movements. This helps in reducing energy consumption. Second key area where Barcelona has implemented this is in waste management. They are utilizing smart waste bins, which monitor the level of waste in them. Only once they are full does the garbage disposal truck clear it out. So this avoids the multiple rounds which garbage trucks do, and hence it improves operational efficiency, reduces greenhouse gases by garbage trucks, and it's perfect. You don't need to empty a trash can when it's not full. The third key area where Barcelona has implemented this is water resource management. IoT sensors monitor water quality and usage. CPS analyzes the data to manage water supply, detect leaks, and predict maintenance needs. For example, if a particular area in Barcelona shows a really bad water quality, the source of that can be tracked. It could probably be industrial waste being dumped into a water body close by. So this is really valuable when it comes to managing the water quality and the predictive maintenance. Now, these are the things which Singapore and Barcelona have implemented. What are the future use cases of IoT integrated with CPS? Let's talk about the first key area, which is dynamic urban planning. IoT sensors can collect city data for CPS to optimize urban planning and land use. For example, during the pandemic, we saw a surge in people moving to tax-free cities or states. For example, Austin. Many people migrated to Austin, but not equally throughout all the areas. A few areas saw more migration of people. So the urban development planners can collect this data and focus their energies, their resources to develop these areas more. Second key area, which sees a future use case for the integration, is advanced disaster response. We've seen in the case of Singapore that this is being used for things like air pollution. It can be taken a step further for disaster response. IoT can monitor environmental factors for CPS to manage disaster response, reducing impact on urban populations. Third key area is enhanced energy grids. We know that smart grids exist, but the problem with smart grids is they do not prevent outages. They may, in a way, reduce the chances of an outage, but they still don't prevent it. Enhanced energy grids would be able to prevent outages because of storing the renewable energy from solar or wind, and then utilizing that stored energy during an outage. The fourth key area, which is a very interesting one, would be personalized public services. I love how affordable public services are, but it's just not convenient. I don't like the idea of walking 20 minutes in heels with a heavy backpack to catch a bus. I would love it if it were nearer to my home. Personalized public services, wouldn't it be amazing if the data of where the customers are boarding or where they are coming from is fed to the CPS, and if a trend is realized that this area, which is 20 minutes away from the bus stop, has most riders, additional bus stop can be created closer to the residential area. The next key area could be enhanced security. We spoke about this, a little bit about this in the case of Singapore, where they are using this. However, it can be further enhanced, where advanced surveillance systems integrated with law enforcement would enhance security measures and detect suspicious activities. As of now, Singapore has its CCTV cameras monitoring, the presence of an untouched bag. Wouldn't it be amazing if this is implemented closer to elementary schools, for example, where the IoT sensors and the surveillance cameras with facial recognition can recognize the presence of a sex offender within 0.5 miles of an elementary school? When that happens, notification can be sent out to the school authorities, to 911, and it can even yell out the way our blink yells out, like, we are watching you, stay back. This would be pivotal when it comes to safety and security. Now that we've discussed the future use cases, and like most good things, there are risks and challenges involved. And as techies, we must talk about the mitigation strategies. The first major concern is the privacy concern. This is ongoing. Everyone is worried about privacy. What do we do about it? Data collection for IoT and CPS can lead to privacy concerns, definitely. Mitigation involves strict data privacy and data anonymization. This is very important. Second, security vulnerabilities. IoT devices can become entry points for cyber attacks. Strengthening security protocols and using advanced security measures are crucial. Third, and the problem which we face most often, is system complexity and integration challenges. It is a trouble to integrate two systems. We know that. We've all dealt with it. But one way of mitigating that is adopting universal standards and ensuring interoperability to mitigate this challenge. The next challenge is dependence on technology. Today, we know that technology is helping us achieve great heights. However, we are not at a stage where we can completely rely on it. There needs to be a balance between automated systems and human oversight. Next area, data management and storage. IoT devices generate huge data requiring substantial storage. Few ways to mitigate this is utilizing cloud solutions and using data compression so that storage is not as much of a hassle. The next challenge is equity and accessibility. Benefits of IoT and CPS may not be evenly distributed. Today, we know that it is being implemented mainly in metro cities. What about the underserved cities? A way to mitigate this challenge is to create an inclusive design and infrastructure investment in underserved areas. Next is regulatory and legal issues, the most difficult to tackle. Now, we know that legal frameworks often lag behind our tech advancements, leading to regulatory gaps. Engagement with legal experts and policymakers is essential. And I would say that not at a later stage, not when your product is ready, but right from the start. Most of these challenges can be addressed by a coordinated approach between four parties: the tech developers, city planners, policymakers, and most importantly, the community. Any questions, comments, discussions? Yes? Yeah.
What are some of the things that they encountered in like Shanghai or Barcelona where they put in this app?
So let's talk about Barcelona. Oops. Thanks. 5? Thank you. 6, sorry. Yep. 5. Sorry about that. Yep. So you were asking what challenges did they encounter in implementing these? I would say first, most importantly, would be the legacy systems which are already in place. If you have to implement the smart lighting, it is changing all the existing infrastructure of lights, either upgrading them, and most probably you cannot upgrade them because they've been there for decades in the legacy, in the legacy physical system. So definitely, cost is a very important factor for implementing these. Definitely. Yes, Tyrone.
So
And so we all knew what he was doing. They were listening to the conversations, right? And the government was sort of paranoid, and they're always monitoring the citizens, right? So I tend to lean more on the privacy side.
I get that.
You know, I don't like to be monitored. I don't like facial recognition. I don't like any type of control over my life, especially by the government, because
Yeah.
the more power we give the government, they tend to abuse that power, right? Eventually, they abuse it. Power corrupts.
Yeah.
Power corrupts, absolutely. So, you know, what you just described, like, it sounds awesome, like, you know, automatic lights, you know, facial recognition. You know?
Yeah.
But to me, that, like, I tend to shy away from something like that because
Mm.
I'm not sure if I want that type of control over my life.
Yeah.
I'm not saying maybe I should go join the Amish. I know this is inevitable, but what would you say then from a privacy standpoint? Like, is this something that, like, can we implement some of these things and not go like all Judge Dredd?
No, for sure. I think building trust with the community and having them on board is a crucial factor. The data privacy laws should be strengthened regarding this, plus the data anonymization. Would you feel better if you were sure that the data was anonymous?
To be honest with you, like, I just wouldn't want any of that.
He's just triggered. It's a fast tongue.
First of all, I get that.
I'm concerned about AI.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm a big techie guy. When you come to my house, I have no smart, there's nothing smart in my house.
Love that.
All physical laws. You know, there's no cameras, like, my microwave is dumb, my fridge is dumb. You know, like, you know, it's like, there's nothing automated, absolutely nothing. You know, I got a real dog.
So is there a line for you when it comes to some of these things like, let's say, smart wastelands, helping to make life more efficient, and things that might be monitored? Where's the line with monitoring people? You know what I mean? Because I'm saying that because I can only imagine I would be hypersensitive to that as well if I went through that. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, like, you know, there's a fine line between dictatorship and freedom.
Yeah.
Right? If you want freedom, you know,
So if this doesn't come with regulations of, I know this is beyond what you're doing, you're saying.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Maybe I have to take it outside. But if there's no penalty to you for the waste bins, you know, for picking these things up and the lights are turning on to make it safe for your children to go up and down the street and keep energy efficient.
it's not only about that. I'm thinking about the AI aspect. What happens if,
Oh, where could it go?
if the AI takes over now, you know, and it's like, how much control do we want to give the machines?
I think, there would always be a part of the population who wouldn't be in favor of smart cities, and for valid reasons. I completely agree. And I think that would make things, the city planners would have to build their trust. Either have it, yeah.
What would work for me, because I mean, yeah, I have some of the same hang-ups with tag, but if it would be open tag where we can see what's going on, I think that would build, for me, that would build the trust.
Higher transparency? Would higher transparency help build the trust? No. I see you nodding now.
Be very careful what tech we implement because, you know, the more power we give government, the less freedom we have. That's just my 2 cents.
No, fair. That's valid, yeah.
I'm all for technology.
But as long as it doesn't touch the privacy aspect of it.
As long as it doesn't interfere with my movements.
As long as it doesn't track you.
What are you
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing?
doing? I mean, if I want to be totally free, I turn off my cell phone and I put it in a Faraday cage. I put a mask over my face.
I think what's interesting is the sentiment has been echoed, and not just ties, right?
Yeah.
The sentiment has been echoed for the past 3 days in terms of there's immense benefit that people see,
Yeah.
and then there's some immense concerns
Yeah.
that everyone has, more so people in this space who are developing and architecting and building around AI. The average person probably is like, as long as it don't take my job, and as long as they're good.
Yeah.
But there's some, yeah, we're gonna adopt, and then we need some guardrails around this, and we need to make sure that it's not going to be abused. And I think that is just going to be the argument for AI
Yeah.
and technology advancements, even beyond AI, right? Just technology advancements in general. I think that's just going to be an ongoing conversation, and ongoing things. And I think you put it so eloquently in terms of high transparency and building the trust of the communities
Yeah.
in order to implement some of these things they want to do.
Definitely. And I think that this is not going to be a challenge just now. Like, I can imagine even after a decade, when we are still in this room, we would be talking about data privacy concerns or similar concerns, because as tech advances, the policies need to go hand in hand. I spoke about the policy part of it, that it always seems to lag behind the tech advancements. If there are stringent rules, for example, for data privacy, similar to GDPR, something for identifying biases in AI/ML models. One, so definitely strict guardrails. Second, complete transparency. These two things will help build the trust of people, get them on board. Because people need to be happy with it. We can't turn it into another dictatorship where we force people to comply with it.
Look at China, for example. They don't care about privacy.
Yep.
They have AI everywhere. You cross the street and you jaywalk, they ding you. You get points deducted. Even you look at the police officer the wrong way.
Why would you look at a police officer the wrong way?
Just saying, like,
He is doing things you cannot
All right, I won't ask.
so what I'm saying is that there's extremes, and there's certain countries where they don't care about individual rights, right? They don't care about freedom. They don't care about privacy. So they implement these amazing smart cities that all of a sudden now, as a citizen, it's like you're in North Korea, you're like,
So I think this gets us to something called as ethical smart cities, that it must be ethical. It must be ethical.
all of a sudden it's North Korea now,
Yeah.
The president comes in, we're like, because we weren't clapping hard enough, but the AI is there. What did we do?
So you'd be penalized for not clapping hard enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if we give it too much power, like, we have to be careful. And, that's just my 2 cents. Like,
And valid. Very valid, yeah.
but I love AI and smart cities like this. It's even in China. Let them enjoy.
Okay. All right.
The smart bins are
The smart bins? Yeah. See, did you say that you can use smart bins? He's opening up to it. We converted one person here. All right.
management, that's okay too. They monitor the water,
Yeah.
The things that are familiar to the U.S. are okay.
All right. Fair.
Monitor traffic lights.
Like, to a certain degree, like,
But this is, I mean, just the
Yeah.
some degree.
Yeah.
But again, like anything else, these tools will become extremely powerful. So, I think that even our military don't adopt Ethernet.
Hmm.
They're still on dial-up in many bases around the country. They're just not comfortable with the security protocols. So, we probably have some folk at bunkers, and then you have some folk that's out there on the moon suits. No, this was fantastic to see.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. I'm glad. Any other questions? Or we can take it offline. We can have a nice discussion. Because I see my time's up here. Okay. All right. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the day. And make sure you enjoy Vegas. And Tyrone, don't do things you would not do. Have a good one.